Here, and I'm doing my first official, not counting the test, LinkedIn Live. And tonight it's all about coaching and mentoring. And I'm just going to check right now whether the stream is happening. Alrighty, and just waiting for some folks to join me. So while that's happening, I'm just going to check how we're going. I know there's a bit of a delay, so just want to make sure that we get everything happening before I start teaching. Alrighty, let's check how this is going. Okay, so I think we are up and away, only I can't see the stream in my feed, but okay, I think it's happening. So welcome to everyone who's here. The question that I'm answering tonight, after getting some input from quite a few people, is one that I get actually asked a lot of the time, and it's all about what's the difference between coaching and mentoring. And it's just something that, as I said, comes up a lot. Is it important to even know the difference? And and if we do, then how do we use that? So I'm just going to check my stream again, because very frustratingly, it's not there for me. So, I think I found it. Awesome. Okay, so I can see that we've got a few people here, which is great. So thank you very much for joining me. As I said, tonight it's all about coaching and mentoring. You can probably see in the background, I'm actually in my hotel room in Melbourne tonight, so not the most exquisite background, but that's okay. I've had quite a few people ask me this question: what's the difference between coaching and mentoring? And let me tell you, this is my experience. So I go into organizations and they tell me that they've got this fabulous coaching and mentoring program. And it's like one word, coaching and mentoring. Now, both coaching and mentoring are terrific techniques when we want to work with people and we want to help them to learn and to grow and to develop. But they're different. And although some of the skill sets overlap, they actually rely on different approaches from the individuals involved, and there's different expectations. And so a lot of it comes down to what is the outcome that I actually want, and therefore is coaching the approach that I should use, or is mentoring the approach that I should use? And so what I wanted to do tonight is just to share one way of actually being able to distinguish those two great development techniques, and then think about, okay, so what is it that I'm trying to achieve, and therefore which one of those is the one that's actually going to serve me best. Alrighty, so I can see a few people. Let me just say hello, Stuart, hi, Taha, and a few others that are on the live. Of course, help me out. It would be great if you can like, share, and comment as we go. And then a little later into the conversation, what I'd really like to do is to take a couple of questions from you as well. But let's just get into this distinction phase first. So I'm just going to pop my iPad up so I can do a little bit of drawing. And hopefully that will happen for you fairly soon. Okay, so I just want to draw two key dimensions that we want to consider when we're kind of comparing these different modalities of working with people. And the first dimension, the horizontal dimension, is all about who has the expertise, who has the knowledge that we're going to use in terms of whether it's a conversation or we're working together. And so on one end of the spectrum, we've got the expertise actually lies with you. And so you might be the leader, the consultant, the coach, the mentor. Who is it that actually has the subject matter knowledge that we're going to be using in our conversation? So either you or them. Okay, so by them, that could be a team member, it could be a peer, it could be a client. So we've got this spectrum of where does the knowledge lie? And then we've got ways of interacting and working with the people around us. And so on the vertical axis, let me just fix that. I should actually get the model right. We've got everything from tell through to ask. Now, what I want to talk to you about is, you know, this whole area of how we approach the conversation. A lot of it is actually about who has the knowledge. So I'll just use the context to begin with of the workplace. That's the domain that I work in. If I am working with someone around me and they need access to my knowledge in order to be able to accomplish something, they need my wisdom. I have the expertise and they need me to share it with them because they don't know how to progress something, they don't have the insight, they don't have the experience. Then I would typically tell that to them. I would give them guidance. I might make suggestions based on my knowledge and sharing that with them. And when I'm doing that, I'm mentoring them. They need access to my wisdom. And that's the classic mentoring. And how do I share that with them? Well, I tell them the information that they need. Or when we're having a conversation and they say, how would you do that? I might give them some guidance or some suggestions. And so that's a mentoring process. And it happens a lot, and we do it really naturally because we like to share our knowledge. But equally, we might go outside our organisation and we might get someone who has that special wisdom set that we need access to. So when I look at this model, mentoring is I have the knowledge, I have the expertise that you need access to, and I tell it to you, I give it to you. Now, if I was to, for example, if I was seeking someone to give me guidance in my business, often we seek a business coach, but actually what we're after is a business mentor, someone who can tell me what I need to do, someone who's done it before. Or I might want to get some guidance around my career. So I would go to a mentor who has maybe achieved that progression in their career that I want to achieve. So when we want to use somebody else's knowledge, that's mentoring. Now, what's the difference in terms of coaching? So coaching is I'm actually drawing out the knowledge from the other person. So as a leader, I don't need to have the expertise. I ask the right questions and draw out that knowledge from somebody else. So they know their area, they know their domain, and my expertise is asking the right questions to help them access the information they have, use their knowledge, come up with ideas, make a plan, execute the plan. And so coaching sits up here, which is really quite different to mentoring. So lots of the skills are the same, great questioning, great listening, rapport building, all of those sorts of things. But what we're trying to do is different. And so with mentoring, we're sharing the wisdom so that people can get access to knowledge and information that they don't currently have, and then they can apply it. With coaching, we're drawing out the great expertise and knowledge and ideas from the other person so that they can use that to make good choices and decisions and plans of action and set goals and that sort of thing. And so we might use both of those things at different times. So it really depends on what the purpose is, what we're actually trying to do. So in my situation, I can mentor particular people. I could mentor, for example, in my knowledge sets, I could mentor female leaders operating in male-dominated industries because I've done that. I could mentor people who have worked in technology spaces or telecommunication spaces because I've done that. I could mentor leaders who have led really large teams because I've done that. But I can't mentor everyone because I don't have a wisdom set that's going to support everybody. I'm hoping this is making sense, so you can let me know in the comments if this is making sense. And I'm just going to have a quick flick actually through the comments just to see what's been coming up there. Hello, hello. I can see loads of people. Donna, Pam, Ripple, Bridge, Sam. Hello, Sam. Nice to see you there. Marilyn, Hassan. Okay. Now, so there's a range of people that I can mentor, but there's a range of people that I'm not able to mentor because I don't have the wisdom set. With coaching, I can coach just about everybody or anybody because I don't need to have the expertise. My job is to get their expertise out and into the conversation. So I've coached commandos. I don't know anything about being a commando. I've coached leaders in a bread making factory. I've coached people in lots of military service, educators, doctors, but I don't actually have expertise in those spaces. Right? So, but I'm able, with a coaching approach, to work with them. And if I was a leader in any of those spaces, I could use a coaching approach as the leader. Because when I use a coaching approach, I don't need to be the expert anymore. And so as a leader, that's a very good toolkit to have because as a leader, you can't mentor everyone about everything. You can coach them though. And so that equipment, that approach, it really enables your leadership. Of course, mentoring when it's appropriate is absolutely great, but you have more breadth and more scope if you have a coaching approach and a coaching toolkit to use, as well as your mentoring toolkit, which, as I said, for a lot of people, we naturally mentor. We want to help and we want to share our knowledge. We just don't have knowledge about everything though. What else did I want to tell you about this? Because I don't want to spend too much of your time. Okay, so do I use a coaching approach? Do I use a mentoring approach? And does it matter? Let me give you a couple of examples. If I am working with, for example, I want to support a set of leaders in my organization to get to the next level by, pairing them or having them get access to people who've been there and done it before, then that's probably a mentoring approach. But if I want to accelerate the development of a group of people so that they are ready for promotion or an expanded portfolio, that kind of thing, that's possibly coaching. So it depends on what our outcome is or what our purpose is as to whether coaching or mentoring is going to be the right approach. As I think I mentioned earlier, the business coaching one is kind of an interesting space because often business owners expect their business coach to know how to run a business and to know the different levers to pull to make that business successful. And so there's a reliance on the business coach's intimate knowledge of that space. And so there's probably an overlap there, I think, between mentoring, of sharing wisdom, and coaching, then what do I now do with that wisdom? I'm just going to check a couple of the comments. Okay, so making a lot of sense, which is good. Some questions. Is coaching more in the questioning style? I think there's more questioning that happens in coaching because we're eliciting information. But in terms of mentoring, you would still use questioning. You might question to confirm understanding of the story I've shared or the suggestion I've made, or also questioning how, now that you have that new information, how do you plan to use it? Which I think is super important, but more questioning is going to happen in the coaching space. Okay, Let me see. Another question is, coaching is performance driven while mentoring is more a development driven. Okay, let's just get rid of this. Okay, let me just get rid of the iPad for a sec. The question or the statement was around coaching is about performance, whereas mentoring is about development. And I wouldn't strictly agree with that. Mentoring and coaching both are great for development. There's different levels and layers of coaching, and it depends whether we're starting at level 1, which is like performance coaching, which you would typically associate with something like a call center, or whether we're at level, say, 3, which is like inner game coaching, which is about who do I need to be in order to achieve the things that are important to me, and that's very much about development. So I think coaching for me is a really significant learning and development approach, particularly because we're getting people to use their initiative, we're getting people to make really good choices, and we're getting them to be accountable for those choices. And that's a really great way to get people to learn, because when they're accountable for the choices they make, they remember a lot of information, and they learn from that process of they made a choice, they followed it through, they get a result. If the result is a great one, they'll want to repeat that. If the result isn't a great one, then they want to learn how to do it better next time. And so that's the learning cycle that we create. Let me see. What are my other questions? Oh, okay, I think that's about it for tonight. All right. So I want to keep it pretty short because I don't want to use a lot of your time, but I think it's a great question around coaching and mentoring, both great techniques, but they do have different purposes. So when you next need some help or support, or you want to be able to help or support someone else, just think about, is it about gaining access to knowledge or sharing knowledge, or is it about helping people to step up and learn and be accountable and use the great knowledge and expertise and skills that they have to apply to their situation? So coaching. And I'd love to know what other comments and thoughts you have on this topic. And then I just wanted to finish up with, if this is something that's of interest to you, then I want to share with you, wherever I can find my little thing, I'm running another free session online in a couple of weeks' time, which is all about when to coach in the workplace. So if you would like to join me, then you can just register here, and I will put a link in the comments after the live, or you can comment coach, and I'll get the details to you if that's something that's of interest to you. Alrighty, beautiful. I think that's enough for tonight. I'm still practicing and learning how to use LinkedIn Live and how to keep a track on all of these comments. But if there's anything else that would be useful for you to know, then please pop it in the comments, and I will be sure to get to those as soon as I possibly can. Have a great rest of the evening if you're on my side of the world, or great day if you're on the other side of the world, and I will let you know when my next LinkedIn Live is going to be, probably sometime next week.